Cherry, the cake fairy, the party fairies. Everyone in fairyland is busy preparing for the King and Queen's 1000th Jubilee. But Jack Frost plans to make trouble by stealing the party fairy's magic party bags. Can Rachel and Kirsty stop him? There is a magic party bag in each Rainbow Magic story. Help the girls to find them all and keep them safe for the fairies. Cherry the cake fairy, Melody the music fairy, Grace the glitter fairy, Honey the sweet fairy, Polly the party fun fairy, Phoebe the fashion fairy, and Jasmine the present fairy. Rainbow Magic, the party fairies, Cherry the cake fairy, Jack Frost's ice castle, the sweet shop, Charlotte's house, Jamie Cooper's house, Kirsty's house, the park, Forest of Greenwood, Clearing, the Fairyland Palace, the Village Hall, Twisty Lane, Weatherbury Village. Our gracious king and the gentle queen are loved by fairies all. 1000 years have they ruled well through troubles great and small. In honor of the glorious Regan, a party has been planned to celebrate their jubilee throughout all fairyland. The party is a royal surprise. We hope you'll be delighted. So shine your wand and press your dress, for you have been invited. RSVP, her, the fairy godmother. Contents: a birthday surprise, fun and games, stop thief, a tricky problem, a sticky situation, a magical mystery cake. A birthday surprise. I just knew this is going to be a wonderful birthday, Kirsty Tate exclaimed happily, her eyes shining. Mrs. Tate laughed across the breakfast table. You've only been awake half an hour, Kirsty, she said. I know, Kirsty replied, but look at all these cards I've been sent. And there's my party this afternoon. And best of all, Rachel's here for a whole week. She grinned at her best friend Rachel Walker, who was sitting next to her. The two girls were spending a week of the Easter holidays together. They had met on holiday the year before, and since then, they had all kinds of magical adventures together. First, they had helped all 7 rainbow fairies return to fairyland. Then they helped the weather fairies stop wicked Jack Frost from causing weather chaos. The girls finished their breakfast and went to get dressed. Rachel was halfway up the stairs behind Kirsty when she noticed another envelope coming through the letterbox. She ran to get it. It was a very grand-looking, sparkly gold envelope, and it felt heavy in her hand. She glanced at the front curiously and then gasped in surprise. Miss Kirsty Tate and Rachel Walker, the beautiful, loopy handwriting read. Rachel blinked. A card for Kirsty and for her? It wasn't her birthday for another 3 months. She raced up the stairs, 2 and a time puzzled it over. She didn't recognize the handwriting, so it couldn't be from her mum and dad. But who else knew that she was staying with Kirsty? Look, cried Rachel, bursting into Kirsty's bedroom. Another card, and it's for both of us. Kirsty took the envelope and gently turned it over, running her fingers around the red wax seal on the back. You opened it, she said, passing the letter back to Rachel. I've had all my other cards this morning. Rachel's fingers trembled with excitement as she carefully broke the wax seal. As soon as the envelope was opened, glittering clouds of fairy dust billowed into the air, followed by a rainbow of colour that soared across the room. Both girls stared open-mouthed. Riding on top of the rainbow, just as if he was surfing on a wave, was Bertram, the fairyland frog footman. Rachel and Kirsty had met him before in their fairy adventures, but they hadn't expected to see him again in Kirsty's bedroom. Bertram hopped off the rainbow onto Kirsty's chest of drawers and bowed deeply. He wore a red waistcoat and carried a gold bugle. Kirsty grabbed Rachel's hand excitedly and squeezed it. She couldn't help wondering if this would be the start of another magical quest. Bertram tooted on the bugle, then pulled a tiny scroll from one of his pockets. He unrolled it and cleared his throat. It is with great pleasure, he began, that I bring you good news. The fairy godmother hurriedly invites Kirsty Tate and Rachel Walker to a surprise party for the fairy king and queen's 1000th jubilee. Wow! Gasped Rachel. Yes, please, Kirsty cried. From another of his pockets, Bertram pulled out a tiny bag of fairy dust and began sprinkling it over Kirsty's mirror. As the girls watched, the mirror's reflection vanished and a whole new scene appeared before their eyes. It's fairyland, Rachel breathed, leaning closer for a better look. Correct, said Bertram. The fairy party workshop, to be precise. All the party fairies have been working very hard to make sure that the king and queen's party is absolutely perfect. Kirsty and Rachel gasped in delight at the small figures they could see bustling around in the workshop. There's Cherry the cake fairy making the special party cake, Bertram told them, pointing a webbed green finger. The cake did indeed look wonderful. It was shaped like a fairy palace and it sparkled with magic. That's Grace the glitter fairy, making lots of magical decorations. And can you see the fairy wrapping up gifts so prettily? She's Jasmine the present fairy. The two girls watched in delight as Jasmine tied a pink satin bow around one of the presents. Who else is there? Kirsty asked eagerly. Bertram pointed. There's Polly the party fun fairy. She's in charge of party games. And Melody, the music fairy, sorts out the best party tunes. She's teaching the fairy orchestra how to play the harmonies for Happy Jubilee. The girls fell silent and listened to the sweet sound of the fairy music tinkling through the mirror. It's gorgeous, Rachel sighed. Bertram went on. Honey, the sweet fairy, is making sure there are enough treats to go round, and Phoebe, the fashion fairy, she's the one with the extra sparkly wings, look, is in charge of everybody's party outfits. Kirsty gazed in wonder at the beautiful dress Phoebe was working on. It was covered with hundreds of sequins and jewels that glittered in the light. "It's lovely," Kirsty breathed, her eyes wide with excitement. "And we're really invited to the party?" "So when's the party, and how will we get there?" Kirsty asked. Bertram murmured something at the mirror, and the fairyland scene dissolved into hundreds of twinkling stars before finally disappearing. "The party's at the end of the week, and the fairy godmother will send a magic rainbow to collect you," he said. He handed the magic invitation to Rachel. "To get to fairyland, all you have to do is step into the end of the rainbow," he explained, "like this." Kirsty and Rachel watched as Bertram placed one froggy foot, then another, into the colourful rainbow that hovered in the air, and then whoosh! With a shower of golden fairy dust, he was gone. "Hurrah!" exclaimed Kirsty. "I knew this was going to be a brilliant birthday." Chapter 2, Fun and Games. Rachel and Kirsty got dressed, chatting excitedly. "Special guests? The fairy godmother called us," Rachel said proudly, tying up her hair in a band. "Imagine, you and me, special guests of the fairy king and queen." "It's amazing," Kirsty grinned, brushing her hair. "I can't wait to go to fairyland again." Just then, there was a shout from downstairs. "Come on, girls," Mrs. Tate called. "There's lots to do before the party starts." Rachel and Kirsty looked at each other in amazement. How did Mrs. Tate know about the fairyland party? Then Kirsty chuckled. "She means my party," she said. "Do you know, I'd almost forgotten all about it." The girls laughed and hurried downstairs. In the kitchen, Mr. Tate was icing Kirsty's birthday cake. "There," he said, putting 9 candles on top. "It's all finished." "That looks delicious, Dad," Kirsty said, hugging him. "Come on, Rachel, let's see what Mum wants us to do." Mrs. Tate soon had the 2 girls making up party bags for all of Kirsty's guests. Then they blew up lots of pink and lilac balloons to hang from the ceiling. And finally, there was just time for the girls to put on their party dresses before the guests arrived. "Musical statues first," Mrs. Tate announced to all the girls gathered in the lounge. "When the music stops, so do you." The music started and everybody danced. Then Mrs. Tate switched it off and everybody froze on the spot. Rachel was standing on one leg, trying to keep as still as possible, when she suddenly saw swirls of red and purple glitter floating through the doorway. She stared in surprise, wondering what it could be. Then she flicked her eyes to the side, wondering if Kirsty had spotted the glitter too. Kirsty's startled expression told Rachel that she had, but none of the other children seemed to have noticed anything unusual. The sparkling dust floated up to Rachel, drifting right under her nose. "Achoo! Achoo! Achoo!" she sneezed. Now the dust was under Kirsty's nose too. It was so ticklish, she just couldn't help rubbing her nose. "Rachel and Kirsty, you two are out," Mrs. Tate said. "Here comes the music again."